April. And then it tends to get more selective in the final phase where they concentrate on the key themes. So everybody's asking about, I put a big thread about it yesterday. Has the market topped? What's going on? Is that M2 chart going to play out? Are we all fucked? Is it going down to 75,000? Yada, 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 yada. I mean, it's all day. And then it's like, oh my God, the Fed aren't going to cut rates. That's the end of the market. They can't, just so much noise. What I urge people, I wrote it, I think, in response to you, Ovi, is 2017-16 was a near identical setup. So the market has been following the pattern. But outside of that, Trump got elected. Everyone went, oh shit, tariffs. They're inflationary. The dollar screamed higher. Rates went higher. And then what happened was Trump came in and said, we need to get a lower dollar. Scott Bessent's already talked about it. The other guys coming in as the Economic Council guys already talked about the dollar being a problem. So I think they're using the dollar as the stick and will then offer it as the carrot to the Chinese. That's right.
So, and the market had a little bit of a freak out when that happened last time. So maybe around about the time that does happen, we will see another freak out. Do you think away from crypto, there is still this concept of the banana zone too? Do you think macro might also decouple from crypto here a little bit though?
No, I think the business cycle's still not above 50. It will go above 50. That means corporate earnings go up, and then we get rid of that bifurcation between the tech stocks, which are cash flow driven, zero debt, and the regular economy. That gap closes because earnings grow. Earnings grow, household earnings grow. Household earnings grow, investment goes into markets. So that virtuous cycle is all the same cycle across all assets. The next phase of this, we will see the cyclical plays, the commodity plays, all starting to rally as the global economy starts to recover. Said, we don't want to have to tighten liquidity on the rebuild of the TGA. That was a signal that everyone missed. He said, we understand draining the TGA is liquidity into the system, but we don't necessarily want to tighten again once we have to rebuild it. So that's telling me it's probably QE. Now, maybe it's not QE, maybe it's QE by a different name, but I think they all know the game.
Yeah, I feel like swap lines and do you think tariffs will actually happen then? They'll just do deals? Feels like that's what kind of happened largely with the first administration.
Yeah, and the tariffs will be scaled, so they won't be as big, and they take time. But I think because Trump is actually a good negotiator, a good deal maker, he will try and get some early wins. And so he'll get some early wins in exchange for the dollar, that whole idea, and then say, if it doesn't happen, we're going to keep increasing tariffs. So there'll be some sort of ongoing stick to beat.
Some of the smaller ones have been around the actual bots themselves. So AIXBT is kind of a genius bar for crypto, and you have those around the memes, which we've spoken about, which are like GOAT and Fartcoin, which came from Truth Terminal, and then you have other things like at the moment of the last week, I've seen DeFi with an AI in there, DeFi AI. I don't know how you'd even pronounce that, or AI-Fi, which is these bots coming in and yield farming for you, trading for you. And there's a number of different projects which are trying to be big in that space as well. I'm a cautiously optimistic investor with a heavy dose of understanding that a lot of this is a LARP. Ovi was a very, very cautious at the start, and then has recently dipped his toe, I feel, and become a bit more of a believer in some of the potential utility here. And Raoul, I feel like you're kind of at the show me story to wrap it and make it applicable to crypto, in my opinion. And although I would agree with you that it's still in the hope phase, there is a world where you have a ChatGPT sort of interface, which we have a wrapper for, but you get it to do payments for you. You get it to do your shopping for you. You can have MoonPay integrations for all these different sites. You could get it to trade for you. Like, there is a world where, and I think that is kind of normy. I think you could pitch that in the same way.
But I think we wouldn't disagree that is coming, but it's not based on the current kind of, these are basically large pools of bots that we already seen on Telegram. And what you're doing is, I was speaking to one of the groups yesterday, is what people are doing is training these bots to say, hey, I want to swap this to this to this and do yield farming. You show it, it then joins the database. And if other people use it, you kind of get paid for that.
So like Meta did.
I was right. No.
They all had Web3 departments, and then now they all
had metaverse departments, and they were throwing parties in the metaverse for their staff and launching cars in the metaverse and fashion shows in the. Oh no, it was full mid-curve entire corporate world.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's the case. I felt like Meta was leading that one, and then everyone hated them. This one feels like Nvidia, Google, Meta, Microsoft, like every single one. But I agree with you. There was a little bit of WAGMI vibes. It's WAGMI vibes. It is WAGMI vibes going on in AI right now. I am drinking the Kool-Aid, knowing
we're going to see McDonald's chatbot talking to Starbucks chatbot saying GM my friend. Shit is about to happen all over again from these agents.
For sure.
I was speaking to somebody who were involved in from a marketing perspective. He runs like a Web3 agency, and he was talking about that. Like, you're going to see big brands come in with their mascots, their characters, and instead of having to launch a crypto coin, hey, we're going to launch
this space. So there's going to be a lot of people insulted because we're calling them mid-curvers now. But you're saying it's the revenge of them, and they're going to win anyway.
I love how the concept of using your brain has turned into like an insult. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh my God, you actually just rationally thought through something. That's terrible. So embarrassing. Why would anyone ever do that?
Yeah, for sure. It's become utility. Everyone has been burnt so many times. And so the idea, when everyone starts bringing it back and says, we're going to change the world, if you've done a few cycles of this, it's just like, no, we're not doing this again. But, every single cycle was a mid-curve, and they often run for, 12 to 15 months, these sort of mini metas, and stuff can go crazy. And then everyone realizes at the end of them, the best thing to own was Fartcoin, but there's a long gap, I think, from here until then.
Because Fartcoin, it's left mid, right curve conditions lead everything.
Yeah.
Then it's liquidity, then it's crypto.
That's my view too. All right, we'll move on to the next question then. With quantum computing and its potential to crack Bitcoin cryptography, does it also have equal potential to crack traditional banking system too?
There's been quite a lot of talk about this in the last few months with that new Google Quantum product that they launched. I think the Nvidia CEO went on stage yesterday and said that it's still a long way off, like quantum threats or stuff, and all the quantum companies dropped like 40 or 50% in a day. In terms of Bitcoin, there is some debate that some of the older wallets, the ones that like Satoshi owns, could be at risk if it continues maybe at the current rate in like 10 years.
Yeah.
Sui just outperforms it. It's eating everything right now. So I don't think that narrative dies for a while. And I don't see what takes it over yet. There will be something. There's usually a bunch of chosen ones, but Sui just does nothing but outperform everything.
Yeah, it's definitely the price coming first, and the narrative sort of following that, because I think the TVL is still not quite there, but it's quite astonishing how much it continues to outperform like all the other L1s on days where it pulls back, and then on days where it like rebounds as well. Like
I know when it rebounds, it's quite shocking. Even I'm surprised. Everything else is up 1%, it's up 10. I'm like, fucking hell.
Yeah,
I don't know who's buying it, but somebody is.
Sol to me looks so mispriced here. It really does. Like it's everyone thought it's just for gamblers, and then it picks up every new narrative that comes in. Sol picks it up and like wins in that narrative. At the moment, it's AI, and although the meme coins have gone slower,